Hello my friends and welcome. Let's go straight to the Middle East update, and the question goes is whether United States is going to join the war or not. Well guys, judging on what is happening right now, it looks like United States is going to join Israel and will at least bomb nuclear facilities of Iran. Maybe you watched this video and there are already news about B-2 Spirit bombing the hell out of those nuclear facilities. But for this minute, while I'm filming this video, it has not yet been started, so Donald Trump tweeted and asked for the unconditional surrender, demanded it from Iran. Just to remind you, Donald Trump left G7 meeting, he went to United States and there was the emergency meeting between him and his colleagues where they discussed the situation in the Middle East and the possible involvement of the United States in this war. Again, we are speaking about just aviation. No one tells about deploying the ground forces out there in Iran. Later on, Donald Trump tweeted that we, so he calls Israel plus United States we, before he called Israel separated, so it's already the great sign that Donald Trump says how successful Israeli operation really was, so he wants to join this some sort of the victory. So we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had the good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than good old USA. Here I would agree the American military manufacture is the top-notch out there in all of the world. I would say the same for the European manufacturer, for Israeli one, South Korea. They produce pretty much good weaponry, but the scale of production obviously is huge in USA. So there was the Situation Room meeting, and Donald Trump now tends or leans towards the idea to start the military operation on side of Israel. And I personally think that Rubio supports that idea. Pete Hegseth, well, he doesn't have his own opinion. I think that J.D. Vance is against it, as well as Tulsi Gabbard. Well, Tulsi even says that there is no nuclear threat coming from Iran. The media influencers like Tucker Carlson even tried to accuse Donald Trump of the possible involvement in the war. That's why Donald Trump tweeted even this stuff. Somebody please explain to cocky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Caps lock style. Well, it means that actually Donnie watches Tucker Carlson if he points out his attention on him. It explains a lot, especially attitude towards Russia. There is also the huge movement of the United States Army in Middle East region. I'm not speaking about this particular video, it just shows the mighty army of the United States with all of the tanks, carriers and air force. But we have the confirmation that all of the vessels of the United States Navy left Bahrain military port. I think that the United States is moving its forces even out from some of the bases just in case of the possible Iranian response on the American bases, because Iran already promised that. Yeah, we have this article, United States intelligence shows that Iran has been preparing for the possible strike on United States bases. Officials say in the case of the involvement of the United States on Israel side. Yeah, we have the satellite images coming from Bahrain, so probably this is the piers with some of the boats. Now there are no boats, but before there were some Navy ships of the United States of America. And just right now, while I am filming this video, there is the phone conversation ongoing between Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Bibi. As Israeli sources say, the decision of the involvement of the United States Army has already been taken, and they're discussing the possible scenario of how to use American Air Force and maybe some other tools. Also now the United States Armed Forces in military bases of UAE, Saudi Arabia and Jordan have been put on the highest alert. The Israeli media already stated that this night there is the high possibility that the United States will bomb nuclear facilities of Iran. The main target could be the Fordo nuclear facility of Iran, which is located, well, I would say in the mountain. All of the enrichment centrifuges are built deep inside the ground, and Israel absolutely doesn't have those deep diving bombs which might go into the ground and kaboom. But Americans, they might have used their bombs, which are only possible to drop from the strategic bombers. Well, according to the information published in internet, Israel already attacked the overground facilities, plus the entrances to this facility. But to kaput the nuclear program entirely, you need to eliminate nuclear reactors inside, uranium and centrifuges. Yeah, some people say that it might create nuclear fallout, but guys, no. At first, this area is kind of secured with this mountain, and the reactors are not that active as in Chernobyl, for example, or Fukushima. So if there is the contamination, it would just be limited. Actually, Russia was involved in constructing lots of the nuclear facilities out there in Iran. Iran hired engineers and scientists from Russia to build lots of the infrastructure, nuclear infrastructure. This is the 3D modulation for you to understand where the Fordo nuclear facility is located. It is inside the mountain. So we have two ways to kaput it. First, using deep diving penetrating bombs, if they will be even capable to go that deep. And the second variant is to deploy elite special forces who would go inside, mine the facility and evacuate, but it is very complicated to do on territory of enemy. For sure, it is very easier to use strategic bombers. Meanwhile, Israeli aviation continued to eliminate Iranian ballistic missiles all across Iran. Yeah, we have before and after. Iran tries to disperse the remainings of their air defense systems and ballistic missiles all across the country to use them afterwards, but it doesn't really help. Israel hunts everything down. Right, and here we have the missile base in Tabriz, the picture dated from May 29th, and here we have June 17th. The missile base was totally devastated by Israeli airstrike, and I can see probably some of the remains of the munition. Guys, as usual, I want to share my thanks to the Patreon supporters and the members of the channel. You are the ones who keep me running and updating you with the information every day. If you want to support this channel, I will put the link in the video description below for my Patreon page. Thank you guys very much for your kind support. And if you can't support me there, just press your huge like to this video and subscribe for the channel to boost this video out there on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. And even though Iran continued to strike Israel every day, you may see the huge drop in intensity of those strikes. So just 30 missiles were used the last day. At the first day, 200 missiles with 3 of the waves. Nevertheless, it is just happening right now. I'm witnessing it on Tel Aviv camera. They still have the live camera somehow out there. So Israeli air defense in operation over Tel Aviv. We have it from the Associated Press. Somehow they do not shut down their cameras. They show the positions of the air defense of Israel. We have probably Iron Dome flying and successful penetration. In many of the cases, Iron Dome just reacts on debris from the kaboom of the ballistic missiles very, very, very high above the ground. In stratosphere or maybe even higher, well, from what I can see, this was just the light. Oh, you see this stratosphere interception, exospheric kaboom, as many people say. I think it was Arrow 3 or TOD or something like that. Yeah, there was definitely the interception of the ballistic missiles which are coming from Iran. If I scroll down to the current moment, everything is over, all of the missiles have been intercepted. Yeah, today Trump also threatened the supreme leader Khamenei. He said that it's the soft target for, I guess, Israel and united forces with the United States of America, because Donald Trump already mentions we in the statements, not Israel, but we. Yeah, we have more evidence filmed on the blurry camera from the phone that more missiles Iran launched on Jerusalem. So far, I'm checking the information about the ground kabooms. But it is already understandable that Iran failed in this military confrontation, mainly because they lost the vast part of their military command and even newly appointed the commander of the chief of staff. It's like the Russian Gerasimov. The previous one, Salami, was eliminated, so this is the new guy who was also kaputted today. Israel has zeroed the newly appointed chief of staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, General Ali Shadmani. And yeah, he was not replacing Salami, but Mohammad Baheri, who was the commander of the Armed Forces of Iran. Salami was the commander of the Revolutionary Corps, something like that. And this newly appointed guy was very close to the supreme leader of Iran, Khamenei. They were friends. Well, Khamenei is losing his friends. That is why I think he is considering really to evacuate to Russia. It is one of the main variants I think he considers now. Also, the high command officers of Iranian Air Force were kaputted. Yeah, it happens, guys, every freaking day, and Iran is unable to reach the military command of Israel. They just randomly launch their missiles on Israeli territory, hitting civilian infrastructure. And they generate images with F-35s, which they shut down, allegedly. Well, I think this generated image could be a reality for Khamenei and in general for Ayatollah. There is the high probability for Iranian regime to collapse because it is not profitable not just for people but also for the part of Iranian elite. Yes, Iranian situation is kind of unique because there is no vivid opposition compared to revolution in Ukraine or the forces which were very active also in military in Syria. So the only probability for Ayatollah to collapse is the internal confrontation within Ayatollah. I think that usual Ayatollah officials, they understand their vulnerable position, the threat to themselves, but they may easily change everything, just dismiss Ayatollah and you'll be like the new leaders of the country without any sanctions and the great perspective in the future, not just for the country itself, not just for Iran, but for them personally. I'm speaking not about the close circle of Khamenei, but about many of the officials around. They don't care about Israel really, they want to make business, and actually Iran is one of the richest countries out there if we speak about natural resources, but it lives in poverty. Pro-Iranian influencers are very active in social media now. Also, we have similar posts from Iran itself on X, or it's better to say Twitter, so the videos like that. The beginning of the end has arrived. Sophisticated jet indeed. You see USA carrier, I guess. I think so. You'll be smashed by the rubber boat of Iran. Oh my god, this is hilarious. Warriors. Oh my god, yeah, we all gonna witness the mighty power of Iran, which is completely sucks now. If we check out the real picture. Khamenei just published this information. What is this? We're gonna check with the chat. Yeah, we have it in the noble name of Haydar. The battle begins. Ali returns to Haybar with his sword Zulfikar. God is great. And yeah, chat gives the information about this stuff, but I'm not into the religion stuff or Iranian stuff. I see what is happening and how Iran can respond without the backup from Russia or some other allies. It is basically alone, left without air defense, left without part of the military command, the highest part. I don't know, some religious stuff, battle has been lost. Right, maybe they have nukes already. This video was published on official Iranian news agency. So I don't know what they want to show here, like the hint that they have nuke and they're getting ready to use it. Guys, what do you think? Do they have nukes already? And that's why they're saying that this battle or this attack would be remembered for centuries. Here they say maybe, as you can see, maybe. Well, if they use it, it would be the end of not just Ayatollah regime, but probably the end of Iran itself. So it's a very, very bad step. It would be basically a suicide step from Iran. But I don't think that they have nukes now. Otherwise, Israel would have started special military operation before. Meanwhile, Israel openly publishes the information of where they're going to strike Tehran. This is their international airport, and this is the quarter not far away. Mostly it is an industrial place, but still there are some of the residential buildings here. So for Khamenei, the battle has just begun. But it is going already for many days, at least 3 of the days. Iran is under the constant attacks by Israel. Kind of the late reaction, I would say. Yeah, according to the latest information, there are more of the missiles coming. I sometimes monitor this live camera. Well, Israel promised a really huge, serious attack, which could be remembered for centuries. It will happen, they say, this night. Well, judging on the previous attack, where all of the missiles mainly were intercepted, I don't think that Iran has the capabilities, really. But again, I was able to capture the situation live. I'm gonna reduce my image a little for you to see. So this is happening in Tel Aviv by the time I'm recording this video. Here we go with some of the interceptions. Again, very high altitude interceptions from what I see. Yeah. So far, no ballistic missile is coming towards the city. Just firework in the skies. Random firework. I'm gonna put my image a little lower for you to see. One of the missiles is coming. Is it coming towards the city? No, it's just abruptly. Here we go with the air defense going to intercept more missiles, or maybe some of the debris which are falling down. So the same as before. Will we remember this attack for centuries? I don't think so. Or more clouds are coming. I guess that's it. As well as the previous case, just random kabooms in the skies. Nothing extraordinary. And yeah, the city of Tel Aviv. And it's just a moon. And yeah, if you want, I highly recommend to check out the military map update information from the Maikov 73. He's the great OSINT analytic who publishes the real information about what is happening out there on the ground, not just in Ukraine, as you see, but also in Iran. So all of those strikes of Israel were already marked by him, and also there were the strikes of Iran on Israel. But much fewer and just on civilian infrastructure compared to Israel actions on Iran. What's about the Russian Z community reaction on the stuff happening in Iran? Well, they're quite depressed and they say that Israel is really winning. They say that Russia is up to lose one more ally in Middle East after Syrian regime collapse. They also tell that Israel shows the example of how the special military operation really should be conducted. Despite the huge distance between two of the countries, Iranian defense was annihilated, especially the air defense, and now it's just a matter of time then Israel cancels all of the ballistic missiles of Iran. Iranian military command was zeroed, their scientists, their TV stations. All of those actions were done according to the playbook. Russians are just in shock because, Ukraine is bordering Russia, so there is no distance factor for Russia. But still, Ukrainian air defense is out there. No one from the Ukrainian high military command or middle military command was zeroed by Russia. At the same time, Russia lost many of their generals. Russia lost the great part of their strategic bombers. Russia lost their flagship Moskva. The Russian Navy itself was harmed and just blocked in ports. The war continues for many years without any sign for it to be over. And Russia has way more resources compared to Israel, and Ukraine is not that developed in military, or wasn't that developed in 2022 compared to Iran. That's why the Russian Z community, they're just in shock that Russia is unable to reach its military goals out there in Ukraine. And they continue to call for the prompt action, but instead, Russia just bombs civilian infrastructure of Ukraine. We're speaking about the Shahid drone attack on Kiev yesterday, and Russia definitely hit civilian buildings. A Kiev mayor Vitaly Klitschko shows the cluster cases for the cluster munition warhead, which Russia uses in their Iskander missiles. The ballistic missile was launched on Nivki district of the capital city of Ukraine. Here you can see the result. It may penetrate even the brick wall. Yeah, those were the civilian quarters, exactly what Iran does in Israel. Luckily, one of the biggest shells hit near the building, even though building sustained huge damages, but the main strike happened in the yard. There was the playground. We have the playgrounds in front of those kind of the buildings. Donald Trump was asked about the Russian attack on the capital city of Ukraine, and he says that he doesn't know anything by the time of the question. He said that he would look for it. Sorry guys, the sound is terrible. That's why I'm telling you what he said, because there were jet engines working on Air Force One and the microphone was far away, so the sound is terrible. Well, my theory that Donald Trump really wanted to use Putin as the tool to negotiate with Iran, but if negotiations are not possible, maybe Donald Trump would be more harsh to Putin because he doesn't need him in this case any longer for that nuclear deal, which I think was more important for Donald Trump compared to the war in Ukraine. Yeah, just to remind you, he wanted to use Putin as the mediator in those negotiations, and there was even the idea to allocate nuclear facilities and all of the equipment connected to nuclear program of Iran to Russia. But it didn't work, as you see, and we have the escalation in the Middle East. I think that after all, United States could be involved in this war directly with military force, at least Air Force, aviation. Will it happen today or tomorrow? We're gonna see, but I think I give like maybe 90% for this variant. By the way, the United States State Department confirmed the loss of one of the American citizens, civilians, during the strike of the Russian army on Ukrainian capital city. Totally 15 civilians lost their lives and more than 100 were delivered to hospitals. Alright, now let's go very quickly with the situation update on the front lines. The military map we have from the deep state military maps. Actually, Russia increased the gray area here. So it was yesterday, it is today. And also they moved with the red one, but mainly they were stopped in Sumy region. So they increased their territorial gains in the local forest, but here in the main direction, in front of those many villages, Russians were stopped. Where else they moved? They moved towards Myrna, very small village, not far away from Malinivka. And this is the eastern part of Ukraine. Here's the big bridgehead, which Russia created a couple of months ago. So we have yesterday and we have today. Russia moved here just a little and they expanded their territorial gains from this side as well. Well, those are the only changes for the last 24 hours. As you can see, judging on reports, enemy still has the advantage over Ukrainian armed forces. They have more resources, more infantry, and they use summertime, actually the best time for the military campaign, for attacks. Some more news about Ukraine. Zelensky visits G6 summit, making it G7 again, because Donald Trump before left it. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the situation in the Middle East, there will be no conversation between Zelensky and Trump, which was planned before. I'm saying unfortunately because even though Donald Trump is an idiot, but after all, he is the president of the United States of America, and the United States influenced the Ukrainian war a lot, first of all with its military support. And for Ukraine, it's important to keep that support, otherwise more Ukrainian soldiers could die if they will not have enough military equipment. So it's important to keep that running. Zelensky does everything he can to influence Donald Trump to support Ukraine. But we have good news coming from Canada. Canadian Prime Minister announced the boost of the Ukrainian military support by $2 billion. From what I understood, that's a lot. It's a good thing. It means that Ukraine has many of the friends in Europe and across the ocean. Meanwhile, North Korea announced that it will deploy more forces to the Kursk Oblast of the Russian Federation. Yeah, this image is old, but nevertheless, there was the meeting between representatives of Russia and representatives of the dictator regime of North Korea, so at least 6,000 Koreans will be wasted on Russian-Ukrainian war. Alright, and breaking news, while I'm filming this video, high-frequency radio traffic suggests 2 of the United States Air Force B-2 stealth bombers are currently airborne. Their location and destination remain unknown. Well, hopefully one day that destination will be Kremlin. Alright guys, and now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. Plus subscribe for the channel. And I wish all a peaceful sky. It's very important wherever you are, and have a great time.